Give us just a snapshot of where you are today, what business is like, and what you're doing to keep continued safety measures in place.
Yeah, it's good to be with you, Emily. I hope everyone out there is safe and healthy. You know, I would say right now is a time where, certainly starting with local businesses, they're the people that need us the most. You know, I think, first and foremost, while this is a public health crisis, we have to make sure as a country that we do our best to avoid an economic collapse. And I think, recognizing that local businesses are the lifeblood of the economy, getting them sales is really our top priority. And of course, alongside that, we want to make sure that everyone is safe. And so, this is why we're defaulting every delivery to contactless. It's why we were the first platform to ship 1 million units of hand sanitizers and gloves. It's why we added 2 million units of masks that will be coming soon. And, for customers, we're making sure that, everyone can get the essentials that they need while, doing this in a way that supports the most vulnerable populations first.
Now, Tony, I've been trying to order as I can to support local restaurants. And, I can say just as a customer, even though you're doing all of these things, contactless delivery, et cetera, I still bring the food inside and I look at it skeptically, like, should I eat this? Should I feed this to my family? How can you assure me and how can you assure your customers that this is safe?
Well, I think to start, if you look at some of the guidelines that health organizations, whether it's the CDC or the FDA, have published, this is not an illness that's a foodborne illness. This is an illness that transports largely through the air, and there's no evidence found that deliveries are unsafe. I think, secondly, we are, doing all that we can to make sure that this is as safe as possible. So we are defaulting every delivery to no contact, so Dashers will leave them at the door. We are making sure that Dashers are equipped with gloves, hand sanitizers, and soon masks. We're making sure that merchants are following local health guidelines, both social distancing guidelines, as well as making sure that the packaging comes in tamper-proof packages. So I think when you compare this to the alternative of going outside and potentially shopping on your own, this is a fairly safe alternative.
Now, on that note, you recently started delivering from convenience stores, meaning that you can get limited groceries and other essential items as well. I checked earlier today. I could get stuff from 7-Eleven, but I couldn't get anything from like a Safeway, for example. How is this new offering going, and how do you see expanding it? Because people really want really want some other options in terms of grocery delivery, because the current options are overwhelmed.
That's right. So we are working as quickly as we're able to make sure that every business locally can come online and offer delivery. So we've started doing some of this as you experience yourself. So partnering with almost 2,000 locations that offer convenience items and essentials from places like 7-Eleven, Casey's General Store, Circle K, Wawa. We're starting to also power grocery stores. So we've been longtime partners of Walmart, but we've since added other grocers. For example, more recently, we've added Hy-Vee, Woodman's, and a lot of these grocery deliveries we're actually discounting for free, especially those customers who are coming from the elderly community and other more vulnerable populations.
Now, Amazon has been getting a lot of criticism over the past several days. There are reports that workers in up to 50 different Amazon warehouses have tested positive. There's worker discontent. One worker was fired by the company. They say he was violating quarantine rules. He believes it was retaliation because he was leading worker protests. I'm sure you've been following this. What's your reaction to all of this?
Well, I can't speak to other companies, but what I would say is, the most important thing in this pandemic is to make sure that everyone is safe and that we take all the preventative efforts in doing that. So that's why we distributed the millions of health kits with gloves, sanitizers, and soon coming masks. It's also why we announced just last week a partnership with Doctor on Demand to give telemedicine visits at a very affordable $4 per visit to all Dashers. That way, especially, when it's very difficult to get some of these COVID-19 test kits, that they can actually make sure that they're safe and they don't need to be on the road if they don't have to be. We've defaulted every delivery to be no contact. And we've also ensured that for those who do need the opportunity to work, that earnings are high. So Dashers are earning now over $22 per active hour nationally.
Now, you're dealing now with consumers who are financially stressed, restaurants who are financially stressed at a time when people need your service now more than ever. But I assume, it's incredibly difficult right now to keep the business operating as it should be. There has been a lot of M&A chatter about the food delivery space. I know I've asked you this in past shows, but even more recently, it was reported that you looked at a presentation about M&A, and the idea has been floated that perhaps Uber Eats and DoorDash should merge. If given the option, would you sell to a company like Uber?
I think at this point in time, this is a moment much bigger than business. And in terms of where I'm spending all of my time, as you can imagine, it's a pretty energizing yet stressful time for everyone. All of my time is really spent on making sure that we are driving as much business as we can and getting economic relief to merchants, that we're keeping Dashers safe, and we're bringing essentials to local communities and the vulnerable populations that need it the most.
Still, you did recently file paperwork to go public. I know at one point you were considering a direct listing, and the health of the business, your business, ultimately, that's the bottom line. Can you tell us how this has impacted those plans and what it has meant for sort of the financial security of DoorDash in general?
DoorDash has always been a business that's first and foremost made sure that its customers, Dashers, and merchants are taken care of. And I think if we continue to do that, especially in a pronounced, pandemic like we are today, we're going to be fine on all fronts.